There we go.
I can hear you better now. That's good. Okay. Now I'm walking in the woods here.
Great. I guess we start with
I
you
can hear you
taking
better now, yeah.
oath, and then
Okay.
I ask questions.
Yes, so I can go ahead and swear the witness in.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Haan, is it? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah.
All right.
Lines of jump.
Mr. Haan, can you raise your right hand for me, please?
Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. My name is Heather Benedict. I am appearing pro se as an heir of the estate of Leanna Ruth Michelson. That's Mickelson. The matter is pending a motion for a clerical error under CR 60A in Pierce County Superior Court 16400861. It is noted for June 16th, 2025 at 9:00 a.m. before a visiting judge. Mr. Haan, could you state your full name for the record?
Leonard Michael Haan.
Are you over the age of 18 and competent to testify today?
Yes.
Can you briefly describe your current occupation or professional background?
I'm pretty much retired.
Great. Do you have any formal legal education?
To some degree, I went to law school, paralegal school. So I've worked in a lot of law firms. So I have a lot of awareness of, knowledge of the legal system in general.
Have you ever been employed at Perkins Coie?
Yes.
What years was that employment?
I don't remember the years. It's been a while.
Okay.
It's probably like over.
Have you ever practiced law or held yourself out as a licensed attorney?
Yeah.
That's a no for the record?
Correct. Yeah.
When and how did you first meet Miss Benedict? And that's formerly Miss Michelson, myself.
As I recall, I think we were kind of introduced by somebody who I used to work right across the street from where her father's shop is or whatever. So somebody that I knew works for both his father and also works at Weekend Renovations. I used to work there, and then that's kind of who sort of introduced us, so to speak. And then that's when we met Heather, I guess.
About when was that?
I don't know. It was in 2016 for sure. And it was probably shortly before the May 16th date in question, because I think that first time I actually met you in person is when we ran into each other at the law library, which would probably be on that day, the day before, but probably that day.
How would you describe your relationship with Heather around the time of May 2016?
I did not ever know her before. I just kind of met that day pretty much. So didn't know her from Adam, I would say.
On or around May 16th, 2016, did you meet Miss Benedict at the Pierce County Law Library?
Well, I think I ran into her there. She was working on something, and I go in there a lot, so I was there. I don't remember exactly what I was doing. It was probably a separate thing, and then she was there, and that's when I first met her.
Did you assist in locating any materials or legal resources while there?
I would say that's pretty much at the hands of the librarians, but I'm pretty sure I probably told if there was such a thing as this or that. You could ask the librarian for a probate manual or something like that, and they'll have one. And then, but the librarians are the ones that are able to get certain manuals that are in reserves, which are behind the counter. I'm pretty sure that the manual that Benedict was using was a such manual that was held behind the counter, which the librarian would actually have to get their hands on to hand over to the patron to thereby, look at the manual. So,
Were those materials publicly available to anyone who asked the librarian?
if they knew that they existed, yeah.
Okay. Please describe how you and Miss Benedict came to be at room 105 on May 16th, 2016.
I probably gave her a slight tour of exactly where the ex parte room was, because it sounded like from what she was doing, she had completed these forms. I was going to be headed to ex parte, and it's pretty much down a long hallway to the right. I probably showed her where it was.
Do you remember what forms Miss Benedict carried with her?
Well, from my recollection, I think that it was forms that she'd gotten out of that manual and filled them out in her handwriting. And it was a petition for the adjudication of intestacy, I believe, where there was no will that she was able to find. And there was a petition for adjudication of intestacy, and I believe who the children were, and it seemed like a pretty straightforward procedure, you know. So I observed the procedure that she had initiated when I showed her where the room was. I just sat in the back.
Can you tell us what you witnessed during that hearing?
Well, I think like she walked in with the petition, with all the paperwork she needed, and then she hands it over, and then it seemed like everything was fine. They started signing stuff, and then they were going to give her copies, but it seemed like there was something where she needed to mail copies to the heirs as notice, and that I guess was seeking a certified copy, which required the clerk to go up to the back and make it. So she left the courtroom and they hadn't given her the order yet. So she went to go get it from the clerk.
Did you witness the order of adjudication and intestacy and heirship signed, and if so, by whom?
Well, I was sitting in the way back, but I could only see an overhead view of the judge signing an order. But I believe the commissioner at the time was Karina Kirkendall, and from all appearances, everything had gone, relatively smoothly, and everything ever presented. It was signed, and that was, the end of it. I didn't see her hand, but I actually could see she was sitting up there and apparently signed the document. And the next step was just to get a copy of the order that had been signed.
Were you present when Miss Benedict received any instructions or was told where to go to get the certified copy?
I don't. I was sitting in the back, and I think that after it was signed, I probably went and sat in the hallways. I don't remember seeing the very last tail end of what occurred, other than I do recall going Heather to the clerk's office, anticipating the copies that she was going to be getting, and that never transpired. They never gave her any copies, and it just seems very odd. But it also, piqued my curiosity about this particular case of people I just barely met, because it seems very weird that the order would not be given to her.
Did you hear Clerk Lou Ellen Scott give Miss Benedict instructions regarding obtaining a certified copy of the signed orders?
I can't remember specifically, but I just seemed to me the sense is that you have to go to the clerk's window to get the certified copy because they have a stamp, and this stamp is probably not in the courtroom, so you have to go to the clerk's office to get it stamped. And my understanding was that after the judge signs this type of an order, that is then sent to the heirs. We have a certain amount of time for statute to respond, and she needed an order to be able to mail it to the heirs. And so that was, at least it seemed like initially that was the reason for not getting the order right away, and then the order just never ever materialized ever again after the first day.
Were you or Miss Benedict told to return the next day to get the certified copy? And if so, by whom and for what reason?
I don't remember the details of that, that part. But it just makes sense that the certified copy would be at the clerk's office and not in a courtroom, because the clerk has to stamp it. And so that made sense that you get the certified copy at the clerk's office. But then showing up to the clerk's office and nobody having the order anymore, that's where the mystery began.
Did you return to the clerk's office with Miss Benedict the following day on May 17th?
I remember being there when she didn't get the order, so that was the next day, and then it would be the 17th, yes.
What happened when you arrived, or what did you witness?
Well, I think how they're asking for, if it's there, and then it just seemed like people started just giving her the runaround and not really telling her what's going on. And I mean, clearly the judge had signed something, and now no one could find it. So that was just it was just the beginning of something that was very odd and caught my attention, because I haven't really ever been through a proceeding where your gets lost like this.
Did anyone explain why a copy could not be provided, a certified copy?
I don't remember any adequate explanation ever being given to why there's not an order there, other than one time I did talk to one of the clerks to find out what the system for something to get upon links, and that seemed to provide some explanation of what might have occurred, but it's not a confirmed fact.
Can you elaborate on the procedures at the Pierce County Clerk's Office for processing legal filings and signed orders and pleadings?
Well, when I was asking clerk how did things get put up on links, it seemed like the process was there's an automatically an order would go up on links if the judge signed it online. If the judge didn't sign it online, they did a hard signature, then it had to be scanned in. So in this case, it would seem that the judge had done a hard signature, which needed to be scanned in. And there's a certain process to the scanning in where they put a piece of label on the upper left-hand corner, and you can see it in documents, the label or barcode. And that's what instructs the computer program where to upload the document. So if for any reason that barcode is either not put on, falls off, accidentally not put on, or just whatever reason that barcode doesn't get on the paper, when it's scanned, the computer won't know where to put it, so it won't be uploaded anywhere. And so it seems like, in talking to the clerk, a possible explanation is that for whatever reason, that book didn't get put on that document when it got scanned, and so the computer didn't know where to put it in links. Now, that's not a confirmed or adjudicated answer, but that's just kind of a possible explanation that came to the surface in communicating how the link system worked and how a signed order would get uploaded to be on the link system for the public to be able to view. And that certainly is not the case with this particular order.
Do you know what happens if a barcode is missing or incorrectly placed?
Well, from my understanding, is the computer reads the barcode, which is created by a clerk, which gives it the information about the case, etc. And if that barcode isn't on the document, then the computer will have no information and no direction, and it will not be placed onto links because it won't know where to go. I'm not sure if there's an error code that's generated, which notifies the clerk. Oh, excuse me, this is missing a barcode. I don't know if that exists in their system, but it seemed like the barcode adhesive tab was an important part of getting a document onto the link system. And if for whatever reason that went wrong, I suppose even a smudge on the barcode could have it misread the code. So we don't know for sure. I don't know for sure, but just in terms of the process, the barcode is the key to getting onto links.
At any time, did you or Miss Benedict check links for the order?
I'm sure that there have been numerous checks for the order over the years, and to date it has not reappeared. At least not in that case.
In your experience, was it unusual for an order signed in court to be missing from the official record the next day?
What was that? I didn't hear the question.
Is it, in your experience, is it unusual for an order signed in court to be missing from the official record the next day?
Well, I don't know if to call it missing, but I think that there is a turnaround time for the processing that the clerks have to go through, and they can be backlogged pretty bad. Where I've seen turnaround times of possibly 4 or 5 days. That you filed the document, for instance, maybe a return of service. You filed it, and then you're waiting for it to appear, and it takes a couple of days to appear. So, I mean, that's kind of normal, it seems to me. But even after that period of time, even apparently to date, the order still has not made its way onto links.
Have you experienced anything being filed in court, including an order or any other document, taking 8 years or longer than 5 days to appear in links?
Well, I mean, probably 5 days is probably the most I've seen. So, I mean, obviously 8 years is something very seriously wrong here. Because if it's supposed to be up and it's not, it's 8 years later, then,
So I want
seems like it should be up.
I want to ask you about the Citizens Minute entry that was filed August 23rd, 2016. What prompted you to submit a Citizens Minute entry to the court?
Well, I think for me, just the fact that I had personally witnessed something and it seemed like it wasn't reflected, that I had the possibly, duty to say what I saw. So I also did that so I could, have a note as to my recollection of what had occurred, and I did it soon after the event. And it was just a way of kind of documenting my observation, which I found really odd, honestly. If it wasn't like an observation where I saw something goes the way you expect and there was nothing to really remark on. This is something that seemed very out of the ordinary and something I just remarked on because I saw it.
Was it submitted on your own initiative, or did Miss Benedict ask you to do so?
I don't think she asked me to do so. I think I just felt compelled to do so because it seems a little serious to me that an order would get lost. I think in all my experience in working with various law firms, etc., that's a pretty important document. That's something that a judge has signed. So if it gets lost from going into the record, it seems like that's something serious to be aware of and to notify. If I saw smoke coming out of a building and I thought it was on fire, I'd probably call the fire department. In this case, I simply put what I saw in the record.
Is the version of that entry attached to your recent and current declaration accurate to the best of your knowledge?
It looks like the one that was filed. Yes.
Do you stand by the statements you made in that entry?
I believe that I witnessed initially a very normal proceeding where somebody goes in with an ex parte motion of some sort, and the court signs the order. It's similar to a TRO. You walk in there, they say, oh, you know, blah blah blah. They press the says the judge either gives them a TRO or doesn't, but you know, if they do or they don't, they still have to notify the person of the hearing. It was a very similar procedure here, where initially ex parte and you get an order to serve on people, and in this case, somewhere along the way, it got thwarted. It didn't. It did. The person was given the order from the judge, and that is very weird.
Do you know what remedies exist for a person to correct or bring attention to such an odd omission? And it's not asking for legal advice, but just
No, I
general.
don't know. I can't really answer that type of a question because that seems to ask like some kind of possible legal advice on this particular situation. For me, it's just a mere matter of fact that and I've been involved in the legal industry to some degree for not centuries, but decades. But it just seems really odd to me that a person doesn't get the order that the judge signed for that. That's just a peculiar situation. And I mean, I don't think I've seen another situation close to this. 64 years old. So it was a very odd situation that definitely caught my attention. And it's still apparently a very interesting situation today. So it was just something very unusual.
Do you believe that county council, who helps appoint the clerk, that the executive appoints for life ultimately without an election, do you think they're aware of this procedural issue raised by Ms. Benedict? And if you could kind of speak on your experience.
I don't know. I think that I don't know. I don't really see or have any real basis to make any comments about those people, like what they do or why they do it. And I can say that, I mean, I do recall speaking at Citizen last minute hour, just personally bringing their attention to an error that it seemed to have occurred, and asked the question about fixing it. But as far as efforts to fix it that I've been involved with the county council, I did go speak for 3 minutes one time, I believe, maybe twice, and it did relate to these lost records, which I think is probably a very big deal. I mean, honestly, part of this case that I can remember is Division 2 requiring the Pierce County Superior Court to put stuff back in the record that they'd taken out. So there's been a Division 2, ruling requiring Pierce County to put back some records that had been deleted. I don't know by the judge or exactly how that happened, but and it was semi-related to this case. So it was another matter, but it was still the records, the integrity of the records. I think that's the main thing that people are concerned about.
So this order that is missing, it comes from the Washington probate manual that was obtained by Miss Benedict that was behind the librarian's desk. Do you know who authored it, and if it was the most recent one? If you could kind of speak to that.
I kind of remember the name of some Mucklestone, I believe is the last name. There's an attorney who, my understanding is, the attorney authored this for attorneys and citizens alike, as a manual to assist them to getting to, certain probate issues. In this case, I think that there is not a will. And apparently there was, some forms that you fill out and you trim in and you this and you that and you comply with the statutory requirements by following Mr. Mucklestone's little protocol. And apparently attorneys and citizens alike are able to access this, manual and utilize it in the court. So I believe that he was a Perkins partner, probably, but so it kind of caught my attention a little bit more that he was the one that did this manual.
So it's authored by Robert Mucklestone, a partner at Perkins Coie. Did you ever interact with him during your employment at Perkins Coie in any way?
Not that I specifically recall, but my job there would cause me to interact with like a lot of the 800 lawyers. So if I interacted with him along the way, I probably would have not necessarily noticed. Probably been delivering documents that were, served on the firm, and I, as the registered agent, would then direct them to where they go. So I might have directed things to him, but that would probably be the extent of it.
So according to the Library of Congress, Mr. Mucklestone's first edition of the manual, as published by the Washington State Bar Association, was in 1984. Are you aware that Robert Mucklestone is widely regarded as the authority on probate practice in Washington State?
Well, with the manual that he produced, I wouldn't be surprised.
Have you used that manual yourself in any capacity, professionally or even as a reference?
I don't think so.
Do you know which edition was current in the library on May 16th?
No,
2016?
I have
Okay.
no idea.
Can you confirm that?
I do imagine that the library does keep current material because they're definitely current with the reporters and the little appendices in the back. So I think they do. I think they try to keep current editions.
So just to confirm, it came from the librarian. Most likely it was the most current edition. It wasn't the one from 1984 found in the basement. It was the most current one, to your belief, best of your belief.
It was definitely from the law library.
Okay, and the form that Miss Benedict used, how did it get from the library binder, from the librarian, to Miss Benedict?
It's a 3-ring binder. You take the binder, you click over the 3 rings, you take out the pages you need, you copy them one-sided, you fill them out, you go to the judge or whatever, and you're done. That's it. Not a big deal.
So can you confirm that Commissioner Kirkendall would have signed a completed proposed order that was in large part drafted by Mr. Mucklestone, to which Miss Benedict completed on her own and obtained the signature on?
I think that I would be able to confirm that Heather was working with one of these manuals, a 3-ring binder, made copies from said manual, filled them out in her handwriting, and then walked into the clerk's office to be filed, etc. And that whatever documents she was using were copies of blank forms provided by the Mucklestone manual, which had been handed to her by the red-headed librarian with long red hair. I don't know her name, but
okay, so yourself and Miss Benedict did not alter or reproduce Mr. Mucklestone's forms. They were presented in original form, photocopied from the 3-ring binder, provided by the librarian.
Correct.
Okay, great. Did you ever suggest to Miss Benedict that she reach out to Mr. Mucklestone for guidance or clarification once the order went missing?
I don't believe I suggested it, but I understand that she did have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Mucklestone and be advised as to his, work that he'd done to assist lawyers and citizens alike. So I think that, in that sense, I think Miss Benedict spoke with Mr. Mucklestone herself.
So did you attend the meeting that Ms. Benedict had with Mr. Mucklestone November of 2016?
No.
Okay. Do you recall what Mr. Mucklestone's initial response or impression was to her regarding the missing order on his forms and then the ultimate dismissal of the probate due to a petition to produce a will? And actually on a petition to produce a will, did you see anything like that in Mr. Mucklestone's binder, a petition to produce a will?
No.
Are you familiar with why Miss Benedict would have filed such a thing the following day, given there was already the
Well, there was something about, instructions to be followed from one of the clerks. I think a judge may have told her that she needs to, listen to the clerks and not the librarians or something to that nature. And then one of the clerks had made a recommendation of some type of a motion, which again raises little eyebrows, like why is a clerk advising a motion? But it still isn't as shocking as a missing order that a judge signed. That's way more shocking than, a librarian choosing the form for the patron, which in this case, handed the book to her.
Was there any other probate case filed for Leanna Ruth Michelson at the time Miss Benedict opened the case, or when it was dismissed? It was like a 1-month window from May 16th to June 17th, 2016.
I wouldn't have known it at the time, but at this time, it seems like the answer is no.
To your knowledge, are you aware that the only two valid bases for dismissal of a probate, according to Mr. Mucklestone's meeting with Miss Benedict, is 1, when the decedent is not actually deceased, or 2, another probate case is already open for the same individual?
I'm not really sure what the question is, honestly, but
Just
I think Mr. Mucklestone is regarded highly in terms of, certainly this manual. So, I think he knows what he's doing. I'm not an expert in probate, but I think apparently he is.
what's your understanding of a signed petition for adjudication of intestacy and heirship? Is there anything left to do in probate after 4 months, or does it become a final decree?
Well, I think it seems like you're asking about the adjudication of test and heirship thing that's in the manual. And I think the manual sets up the steps that you're supposed to do. And I'm not sure where the manual wouldn't work, but it sounds like in the manual you have the steps of what to do. You fill out this form, this form, this form, and this form. And then, the forms contain a petition and then an order for the judge to sign. And so in this case, the judge signs it, and then the copy is, goes missing.
Did you ever observe a community property agreement being submitted into the court in this case, as evidence being admitted?
Well, I personally have never seen a CPA agreement or any valid CPA agreement or any CPA agreement that has been entered into evidence with the court. So I've never seen any court record that shows where the CPA has been entered. It might be there, but I haven't really observed it, shall we say.
Do you know of any admittance of evidence from the decedent, Miss Michelson, Leanna Michelson, either a will or a will substitute, like a community property agreement, being filed into any Washington State Superior Court?
Well, something that's puzzling about this case is that instead of, the heirs within the statutory time producing a will and saying, oh, no, it wasn't an intestate death, here's the will, or the will substitute, or whatever they want to claim, that never occurred. So it's just, that's not what transpired with somebody to say, well, here's the CPA agreement, that order is no longer, current because we found the will or the will substitute. But based on the Mucklestone manual, that's what I would have expected to see, but that's not what transpired at all. So it just seems like, we still have a linked account without an order that you'd expect to be there.
Did you observe whether the court or the clerk acknowledged or acted upon the alleged community property agreement in any formal manner?
There's too many matters. I don't even know how many. I couldn't have seen even half of the proceedings. So my understanding is I have not seen where a CPA agreement was entered into evidence.
So have you seen anything that would trump the May 16th adjudication of intestacy, May 16th, 2016 adjudication of intestacy that occurred in Pierce County Superior Court, or subsequently on April 3rd, 2017, King County Superior Court affirmed the intestate ruling when it issued letters of administration?
Yeah, to me, that might be a little beyond the scope of this deposition, because right now, I think the testimony of my witnessing would appear to be a normal procedure where somebody shows up with their, petition order for the judge to sign, and then it appears that everything's fine, the judge signed it, but then it turns out that the order is still missing. And then, how does this clerical error occur? And, from what I've been explained, it could possibly be as simple as a sticker with a bar tab that was in place on the document. And that would alone create the situation that we're experiencing, of why this would not have gone on links. I'm just saying from what information I've observed, and my curiosity had me, inquire as to how something works, that we're left at a situation where a possible clerical error is the person, for whatever reason, forgot to, intentionally didn't do it, who knows, but they didn't get up on the corner, or the computer didn't read it, and there you go. It didn't get up on links. My understanding is that from some of the records that Division 2 has required to be reinserted into the record, a copy of that order does exist. It just exists in the wrong case. So, as far as clerical errors go, we have orders that go in one case showing up in another case because the judges in the Division 2 forced them to reveal these documents which had a copy of this order, and now this order, which isn't showing up in links, is now showing up in links, but in the wrong case. So it just seems like the order should just be showing up in the right case at the right time, and why it accidentally, clerically showed up, didn't show up. I don't know, but I just know it didn't show up. And from the clerk's office, that's a possible explanation of why it didn't show up, because of one clerical error related to a tab on the upper right left-hand corner of the document.
So you've seen a copy of Judge or Commissioner Kirkendall's May 16th order of adjudication of intestine heirship. From your recollection,
Later on, I mean, years, I mean, I don't know how exactly when it showed up in other documents in, related matters or something like that. But at some point, I believe that I did see it, yes. And it was somehow related to Lou Scott and the small claims action, as I recall.
from your recollection
she-
on May 16th, 2016, would you agree or that the do you believe that this is a true and correct copy of the events that occurred on May 16th, 2016?
What?
Do you believe that the copy of the order that has resurrected is a true and correct copy of the events that occurred on May 16th?
Well, unfortunately, it's not certified. So that's kind of what was attempting to get was a certified copy. But from appearances, from what I recall, it matched perfectly with the other petition that was in links as just being the missing puzzle piece to this Mucklestone, manual little set of, I don't know what you want to call it, it's like a set of forms that go together for a request from the court. And that order fits right in perfectly with what you would see from the Mucklestone manual that's going together. And you have the petition in the court record, but not the order, not even a denial of the petition on that day. So it just seems like there was a piece of the Mucklestone formula that is missing, even to this day. It's missing from the links of that particular matter under this deposition.
Got it. And I'm going to kind of wrap it up, but for the record, I want to state it's 2:12 p.m. Pacific time. I had noted a deposition for Kenyon E. Luce. He is the attorney for the surviving spouse, James Michelson, Mickelson. And the time noted was at 2 p.m. We did change from Zoom to Teams. I updated the note promotion email to it. He stated he is not going to appear because this matter is dismissed. However, for the record, the motion to correct a clerical error was allowable by court order by Judge Lee Anderson, the order from April of 2024. So this is a post-judgment motion. There was an active subpoena on the Luce and Associates law firm where they did not appear at the Ducis Tecum time stated in that subpoena. So there's still some information unknown about his involvement, and he has refused to appear. So I just want to make that note on record. And Mr. Haan, would you say just your role is more about providing emotional support and assistance in locating public records with Ms. Benedict?
Well, I think more, as a retired person, I just spent a lot of time.
Mr. Haan, we lost your audio.
Oh, sorry.
I got, as a retired
can you
person, I
get
spend
it?
a lot of time. And that's the last thing I
I
got.
think basically what I started off as just a person who happened to observe these proceedings.
Is there anything else about the clerk's office or your experience working with Ms. Benedict that you believe is important for the court to understand? Mr. Haan, we can't hear your audio.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Was there a question asked? I didn't tell if you asked me a question or not.
Yes. Is there anything else about the clerk's office or your experience working with Miss Benedict that you believe is important for the court to understand?
I did feel like I observed some unnecessarily negative attitudes towards people. I think, specifically towards Miss Benedict, it seemed like they just took a hostile attitude towards her, and it just seems that almost became infectious to some degree, which didn't seem to be warranted as far as I'm concerned. Like, why would you treat somebody so disrespectfully? Especially in a situation where a mother or family member has died, and now you're facing interacting with the court, and it becomes, I mean, one of the things about Perkins Coie, there's a lot of people, so there's a lot of interaction with different kinds of people, and sometimes some people form little cliques or mean to other people for no apparent reason, and it seems like that's kind of the way, sometimes people are treated, and in this case, I felt like the way they treated Miss Benedict is not acceptable. Not acceptable to treat somebody that hostilely or that in any cruel way. If my mother dies and I come to your court, I do not expect to be treated cruelly. And if you do, it can't be acceptable. So I do feel like there was
Examples?
hostility. Well, I mean, some of the sanctions that were issued, including the sanction not being able to use links, is just, I mean, it makes me coin the phrase judicial brutality, where somebody has gone beyond what they're expected to do and just gone way beyond. I mean, we don't expect police to kill people, and we certainly don't expect judges to kick someone out of the entire electronic access system. It's just too. It's just, it's just. It's just, you just can feel like the hostility there. And, it may just be pro se people in general, but in this case, it just seemed there was hostility directed towards this particular person.
Has Miss Benedict done anything to deserve the hostility that you can observe?
Well, technically, nobody deserves hostility, and anybody who tries to make an excuse, that's not a poor excuse for not being, if you work with the public, you should be nice to people. I mean, I just don't agree with the court being mean. And it seems like they're being mean. That's something I can't witness without comment.
Is there anything else you want to state for this deposition on the record?
No, I think that in terms of clerical error, it seems really just limited to why is this document not showing up on links? Obviously, it's buried in, this whole other, to use one of the commissioner's phrases, cluster of other documents. But the main thing is, how did it not get from the judge signing it onto links? And that's still a mystery that we have for today. And I think that division definitely thinks that the record should be pristine.
Perfect. Do you affirm that all your answers today are based on your honest recollection?
Honest recollection and observations, yes. And I gotta go because I have a call, so.
Okay. And are you testifying voluntarily and without compensation?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Then this concludes the deposition of Leonard Michael Haan.
All right.
Is there anything
Thank
else from
you.
the court reporter that's needed? I'll leave payment and we'll talk offline.
Yeah, we can let the witness go and then we can talk.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Haan.
Yep.
All right, so I think I have your order through the agency. I just want to double check on that. And that you needed that by Friday, is that correct?
I just found out at noon today that they continued it to June 16th. So no rush on it, fortunately. So you can take your time on it.
Okay, so you don't need an expedite because that is an extra charge. So
right. No, I don't need an expedite.
Regular turnaround now. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And then I think my only other question is a spelling question. You mentioned the link system and the witness mentioned the link system. How is that spelled?
It's LINX as an X-ray.
Okay, got it. I know every court has their own different thing, so I wanted to double check that.
Yeah, it stands for Legal Information Exchange. So
Okay, gotcha. All right, I think that's all I need from you. Oh, you know, I did have a question for the witness. Do you have his contact information so I can email him? The question is just about whether he wants to reserve or waive his signature. It's a procedural thing, just so you know, and I can
he's
CC you on that.
Yeah, he's on the chain.
Is he on the chain? Okay.
.com.
Okay.
And I can email it to you as well. And your email is in the chain as well?
Yes. Yes. So you can reach out to me with any questions.
Perfect. And so you'll send me like a quote of how much it will be ahead of time, or?
I can have, if you want me to, I can have the firm send you an estimate before you even order the transcript.
Perfect.
Okay, sure. So we'll just.
Do you think it'll be like $300 to $500 type of thing, or?
I can do a little bit of. I think it will be less than that because it's not very long. But
okay. And let's just move forward with it. I try to keep it as short because I know it gets expensive for rambling.
It does,
on.
yeah. It does. Yeah, I mean, I hate to give you the wrong information, so I'll just have him send you an estimate just to be double, just to double check. But yes, I believe it should be more closer to 300, maybe less than that. But I'll have him send you something.
Awesome.
And that's including the hourly fee.
Oh, okay, awesome. And then, do you send it to? Could you send a certified copy, like sealed, physical, to the judge as well?
Yeah, let me, and I'll double check. I'm not sure. What is the name of the judge in this case?
Ferguson Brown, I believe. She's a visiting judge from Kitsap County, so I'd have to give you the contact info for the visiting judge coordinator in Kitsap County to send it directly to.
Okay, sure. So you can send that to me, or you can send it to the firm, and I'll double check with them. I'm sure that's something they can do.
Okay.
They do all that stuff, so all I can say is yes, I'm sure we can do it, but we just might need some more information.
Awesome. And then what is a general turnaround, like a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, it's 7 to 10 business days.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Perfect. So then I will touch base with Seattle deposition reporters, I believe, with payment info. So.
Okay, great.
Thank you for your time. Really
yes,
appreciate
you're
it.
welcome. Yes,
Okay.
good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.